Okay, good morning, guys. Paul here again, Wednesday morning. I got my juice today. Today I want to talk about the personality change or the attitude change that we have. And Alcoholics Anonymous. So I work in the steps and helping others, and we were sort of takers, selfish and self-centered, like we talked about yesterday. We were sort of takers our whole life, but when we get to Alcoholics Anonymous, we become givers. Our attitude changes, our personality changes. And Carl Jung told this to Roland Hazard. Roland Hazard is the one who brought that message to the Oxford group, to Ebby, and Ebby brought that to Bill W. And Bill W. and Dr. Bob started AA, but it really started over there in Europe with Carl Jung, And there's a page in here on 27 where they talk about Roland Hazard. It just says he's a businessman, American businessman who went to Europe to get help from the famous, physician and psychiatrist Carl Jung, So anyway, so Dr. Carl Jung and Roland Hazard are having a conversation, and basically Roland Hazard can't get sober, and Carl Jung's helping him, and he went back home and he drank again, and he came back to Europe, and he said to the doctor, Carl Jung said to him, he said, "You have the mind of to Roland Hazard, he said, "You have the mind of a chronic alcoholic. I've never seen one single case recover where that state of mind existed to the extent that it does in you. Our friend felt as though the gates of hell had closed on him with a clang. He said to the doctor, 'Is there no exception?' And then Carl Jung said, 'Yes,' replied the doctor, 'there is exceptions to cases such as yours have been occurring since early times. Here and there, once in a while, alcoholics have had what we are called,' this was before Alcoholics Anonymous, okay, what we call vital spiritual experiences. To me, these occurrences are a phenomenon. They appear to be in the nature of huge emotional displacements and rearrangements." It says ideas, emotions, and attitudes, which were once the guiding force of our lives, these men are suddenly cast to one side. They're not gone. They're just cast to one side, and a completely new set of conceptions and motives begin to dominate them. My new mode of life is now. My new motive is, what can I contribute? What can I give? Not what I can get, and not what you did to me. So Carl Jung is the one that came up with that idea and that attitude change. And then if you go all the way to the stories, Dr. Paul, another doctor, he writes a story called "Acceptance is the Answer," and I'll just read you a couple of paragraphs from him. And he has a very powerful story. It's a famous story. It's in both books, 3rd edition and 4th edition. And he says stuff. I'm not going to read it out, but he says things like, this is Dr. Paul. He says, "An acceptance is the answer to all my problems today. When I am disturbed, it is because I find some person, place, thing, or situation, some fact of my life unacceptable to me. I can find no serenity until I accept that person, place, thing, or situation as being exactly the way it is supposed to be at the moment. Nothing, absolutely nothing, happens in God's world by mistake. Until I could accept my alcoholism, I cannot stay sober. And unless I accept life completely on life's terms, I can't be happy. I need to concentrate not so much on what needs to be changed in the world as on what needs to be changed in me and in my attitudes." There's the attitude again, right? And he goes on, he talks about good stuff in here. He talks about his wife and focusing on what's good about her, and the good things get bigger, and focusing on an A meeting. If I focus on what's right about an A meeting, the meeting gets better. If I focus on what's wrong about an A meeting, the meeting gets worse. It's the same thing with the world. Like, in the back of the book, under spiritual awakening and spiritual experience, it says, all a spiritual awakening is, it's a personality change sufficient to recover from alcoholism. We're no longer the same person that we were when we first got here or when we were drinking. We've had a personality change, and we've had an attitude change. And it's brought on by working these steps, okay? And seeing what's blocking us, like all that selfishness, self-centeredness, seeing what's blocking us from looking at the world the way it really is. You know what I mean? And having God direct us. And like I always say this, If I was to tell you what was wrong with my life right now, at any point in my life, not today, but 10 years ago, 5 years ago, if I was to tell you what is wrong with my life, you'd be like, poor Paul, man. Hang in there, buddy. Hang in there. I know it's tough. And if I told you what was right with my life and everything that was good in my life, you'd be jealous. You'd be like, man, I wish I was you. And both stories would be true. Both stories would be true. But the question is what do I want to focus on? Do I want to focus on the good stuff? Do I want to be grateful for things I do have? Or am I going to be focused on the things that I don't have and what's wrong with the world? Am I going to focus on what's right with the world? Or am I going to focus on what's wrong with the world and the people in it? And we get to do that. There's an actual attitude change, an actual personality change that occurs when we start looking at, the glass half full type of thing, right? So that's kind of a result. It's kind of a promise from working these steps. You get into this place of serenity. You have a lot less self-centered fear. You have a lot less resentment and a lot less anger, a lot less self-pity. You're going around with more gratitude than you've ever had, and that's why the old saying in A is like, I never had it so good. And because of our change in our personality, we've actually had an actual change in our attitude that allows us to live happy and useful. And I just wanted to touch on that today because it's in a few spots in the book, and I hope that helps somebody. And it's basically what happens when we work these steps and we reach out to other people and see what we can do for them. So thanks, guys. Hope everybody has a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. Love you all.